All right. And so everything I said yesterday didn't work out. We ended up. I mean, again, it wasn't a horrible, disgusting sell-off. It all seems very orderly, and I think it's actually good. I mean, we're sitting at 60. What are we sitting at? 66, 61, 50. I'm just putting in a couple of alerts here. I wish I could say, I wish I could say it mattered yesterday that I got a couple of decent trades in on the ES, because overall in my account, I got beat up just like everybody else, because I have, let's face it, I'm not all 100% in cash. I have stocks that I'm invested in, and then I trade, cash that I have. So, I mean, overall, yeah, I mean, did I have some winning trades that maybe saved me a little bit of money yesterday? Sure. But, overall, everybody's getting beat up right now. But what I don't see is really like a wall of fear. Anyway, that's kind of, my thing. And I almost think that it's little overplayed here. And I'm not saying that we don't continue to maybe consolidate and kind of come down here, but I will say that I'm not really, I almost feel like because there's been so much press on Ray Dalio and Burry and, all these perma bears that are always shorting the market basically all the time. They're always trying to say, oh, it's coming, and it does, but we all just know that it just never, it doesn't last. And I think what I just keep saying to myself, and look, maybe I'm tainted, but I just say to myself, I think it's close to, I thought the number was close to, $500 or $600 billion that's scheduled to get dumped into 401k plans by the end of the year for the quarter, at the end of the year. And with all that money kind of sitting there, getting ready to be dumped in, and, all right, people are selling the market off as a whole, but where is the money landing? It's not going into bonds, because bonds haven't gone anywhere. Bonds aren't really paying any yield. Where's it going? It's got to land somewhere. It's not going to sit in cash. It'll sit in cash for a period of time. It won't sit in cash long. So where's it going? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's got to land somewhere. So anyway, and it's not going to go into real estate. Real estate's too high right now. So anyway, with that being said, I'm still, in the back of my mind, I'm still relatively, bullish on this. I think we're going to get a decent snapback before the end of the year. And I'm kind of gearing toward it happening next week. I think once kind of NVIDIA, let's just take a look at NVIDIA real quick. And look, I was up on the year on my trading accounts. I mean, and this is realized P&L of what I have, right? This is not This is not what I've made. This is realized of what I still hold. And this was up near 50,000 or so just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm down like $15,000. I'm not panicking. This show has been on my, this show has been playing on my account for the last 30 years. So anyway, with that being said, I think there's so much being put out on the impact of NVIDIA's earnings. I think when it eventually comes and goes and it's and it's over, I think it's going to wind up being just like it usually is, a big fat nothing burger. And I think, whatever it's going to go, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, or it doesn't do anything. I likely believe it doesn't do much of anything. In fact, it may even just go down a little bit. I don't think there's going to be any there. And I think once that's done, and then they've shown that their earnings are strong and there's demand, I think the market's going to digest that and then go on its merry way. That's my opinion. And I've been wrong before, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. You can see here, just looking at my account in general, I have a lot of losers in here. There is a lot of losers. A lot of them. And I'm not afraid to show them. Look, that's part of this whole ball game, is like, you're not going to, and are they all losers internally? No, like here's Datadog. I mean, half of this is up, half of this trade is up, half of it's down. This is a relatively newer one. This was a roll from earnings, so I'm kind of still hanging in there. And this is this is a stock that I never made freaking money in. I've never made money in, this was Square, now it's XYZ. This was a roll, and this one, biting me in the ass from earnings. And so, it is what it is, right? You kind of have to, you manage the losers. I cut my winners. I have a number of winners that have actually done really well. I mean, Netflix here. Netflix has just been a tremendous trade for me. So, be it as it may, I'm still kind of trudging along here, and I'm just going to continue to trade the way I trade. Anywho, I did do the Riot trade yesterday. I talked about, here it is. I posted it in a couple places. Yeah. Good IV rank on Riot. It's kind of one of those stocks that I've never really made much money in over the years. And then looking at it too, which I was amazed at. I didn't even realize that Riot was like at a ridiculous price. Let's take a look. It was way up. If you look at the daily, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, that thing was that much. I mean, look at this. In the height of the pandemic, 2021, this thing was almost $80. So it's gone through a lot of, it's had a lot of gyrations over the years. I mean, got up here as much as 48, was up almost as much as 80. I still can't believe that. I'm like, wow. And it wasn't that long ago. And I should have remembered that, but again, I don't marry these stocks, especially these types of stocks. And now we're where we are here, which is more realistic. And look, folks, I'm not looking for this thing to do much of anything other than get up above $15, where I think it should. But a lot is resting on Bitcoin kind of finding a bottom here too. If you look at Bitcoin too, that's been a big nasty mess. And so a lot on that is riding on Bitcoin, kind of not even so much going up, but finding a bottom and at least maybe stabilizing at a price somewhere. It has not been able to find its legs at all. And with the swing low today being under 90K. Now, I've seen a bunch of people out there and them call, like, I'm no expert on this and I have no idea, but calling for about 85, I've seen, is kind of the consensus for the bottom of this, between 80 and 85. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't trade it on a regular basis because I don't like the way it trades. It does not feel natural to me. Again, that's me. I just do not. I know there's futures on it, and I've traded them a little bit. It does not feel very natural to me. It feels like a very extremely manipulated market, and I just care not to. It trades a lot like gold, which is kind of weird. It trades very thin, and what I mean by that is that it doesn't feel to have any, like, when you see momentum or volume come in, you would think it would do a certain thing, whether it's up or down, and it doesn't. And it doesn't really move, and then it only really kind of moves around when there's some semblance of like news or something, Otherwise, it's, I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of the story there with Riot and that trade. But there's, in ranking a lot of these stocks, and I might be rambling a little bit here, folks, so just kind of bear with me because I didn't really do any prep this morning. I just kind of woke up. But you got the likes of, like, I keep looking at this one, too, at SanDisk. And this thing has been an absolute rocket ship. This has been a rocket ship. Huge IV rank. They don't really have anything any pending, like earnings and whatnot pending. But I feel like I was looking at this even last night, and actually the last couple of days, and there has to be a trade in here, and I just don't know what it is to do, because, although you may even get this thing to kind of back down a little bit here, unless this volatility comes in and collapses, you're really going to have a rough time making money on this, no matter what side of the trade you go on. It happens to be off about $7 today, but you look at this thing on the, and I can't believe I don't even have it on here. This should be a big tech now. It doesn't come up. Oh, it's futures. Yeah. All right, so SanDisk. I mean, look at this. Look at that freaking, oh my God. Look at this freaking thing. I mean, this is just insanity. I mean, it has not had a downtick since August. It has absolutely been a beast. And I do not like to stand in front of stocks like this. When they're running like this is, I do not like to stand in front of it. Because normally you get, for the most part, you get run the F over. Bad. And so, yeah. And I don't even like the idea of even selling calls out here. And I haven't looked. This is the first time I'm really diving into the option chain here, folks. So, even if I were to say I want to sell, I mean, Look at this open interest in here, though, and this is on the high option volume. And I'm kind of not believing that. I kind of think maybe they just stuck it on this list because it has been a rocket ship. Because it doesn't appear to me that this would be on the high option. Because look at this open interest here. Even in December with 31 days, there's nothing on either side. Here's one here. Here's the 230s. But they're in the money. There's nothing out here at all. I mean, here's the 320s. There is no open interest at all on this. So, I mean, I don't know if I actually believe that this is a high option of volume stock. Maybe that's a diss on Tasty Trade. I think they just put it on there. I just think they put it on there because it's the IV rank is high, and it's been kind of moving like a rocket ship. But just from the open interest on this, this would not tell me or indicate to me that this is a high option volume stock. Just looking at the open interest, honestly, really, folks. I mean, so sometimes you have to be careful with this list because this sometimes, look, they're in business to sell shit too. As much as they do a great job, they're in business to sell shit too. And that's kind of, that may be a misconception because I look in here and I don't see this being very, I mean, here's even the current month. Here's November. And this does not even look extremely liquid. I would think it would be more liquid than this, quite frankly. And these markets kind of suck too. I mean, look at these spreads in these markets. They're almost $2 wide. So that's kind of garbage. Anyway, with that being said, I do think there is a trade in here. I just don't know what it is because I really would not want to sell. I mean, if you're just looking at calls, right? Let's just look at calls here. The 390s, this is the one standard Ds. That's what this line is here. The one standard deviations at 380. You can get $17, but these markets absolutely blow. They blow. I mean, look at the spread on this out here. This is a wreck. It's over $4 wide. I mean, that's insane. Now they might tighten up once the market opens. They may tighten up a lot. I doubt it. I don't think so. Usually when they're like this, they don't tighten up much, but these markets suck in here. And I believe that's what's turning a lot of people off from trading this in general, is the fact that the markets suck. And although you can get some really good premium on some trades with this IV rank being so high, you're kind of getting screwed. I mean, unless these markets tighten way up during market hours, I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot bowl. So there's SanDisk. And, again, it's one of those where this being what it is kind of luring me into it. But my spider sense tells me to stay away because it's just too good to be true. And the markets in general. Now I'm going to go take a look at this when this opens up. But these expire Friday, and you really have no open interest here either. I mean, for a stock that's moved the way it has, I would believe that some of these option expiries, I would believe some of these would be 5, 6, maybe 7,000 instead of 1,000. So Anyway, I kind of beat SanDisk to death. But the stock overall, look, if you owned it, it's been a damn. It's been just insanity. That stock, it's absolute insanity. Right. And what is it? I mean, I know they make like storage and stuff. But what do they actually do? Yeah, storage. I know that. Oh, they do make memory cards. Okay. All right. Yeah, and I know they're in Milpitas because I used to drive past there. Used to drive past their headquarters back in the day. Anywho, is that right? They were founded in 2024? What? That's right? Is that right? I guess so. I get because all right, so because they became sand. Okay, because they were something else before. Yes, they were something else before, and then yeah, okay. I think that's really how that worked. Anywho, so anyway, so I guess it wasn't SanDisk I used to drive because I've been California. I've been living in California for almost 20 some years, so it wasn't SanDisk. It was some disc. I forgot who it was, but I used to drive past it all the time, and it was on. It was near Milpitas, but who cares, right? At that point, but anyway, that's what they do. Um, Yeah, and then looking around, folks. I mean, that's why I didn't even do any market prep because it seems like it's been the same song day after day. And when it starts getting the same song day after day, where I'm kind of seeing the same, like this hasn't really moved the needle either, like on this volatility scale. Like you haven't really seen any new ones come in here. It's been the same group of stocks here that are all on the volatility scale. And, when that happens, I get kind of bored with myself because I'm not going to come on here. I'm not one of these people, folks, that feel like I have to be on here either, like, and say something for the sake of saying something. Because when it starts getting like a little monotonous, like it has the last few days, I'd kind of say, you know what, it's what it is. Like nothing's changed. So why should I sit here and BS, but I don't really see anything worth getting on. I mean, I'm already in Baidu. Baidu's another one that just sits with me here that, I look at this. This one's getting hammered a bit again today, which is great for me, right? Because I'm in it. But here's another one that, good IV rank. But they keep beating the hell out of this one. They keep beating the crap out of it. And just a week ago, which is kind of crazy, even a week ago, this thing was up 132 bucks, and it looked like it was going back to 150. Right? Amazing what a week does. And now it's kind of on the skids. And it looks like, it's going to go back and possibly test the support down here at like 108. What a crazy course of events. But, the problem with a lot of this stuff, too, is that what are you going to do? You're going to just go and get short here? And, like, how much more room do you have? All right, yeah, it can go all the way back to, can easily go all the way back to 86 bucks. Yep, no doubt about it. But will it? I don't know. But at this point, like, what are you going to do? I don't know. I'm already in a trade here. I'm in a put trade. I'm short the 120, 110, which sucks, right? $10 out of the money. So I'm likely going to wind up getting assigned on this if this keeps kind of hitting the skids. But if it does, it does. What I might do here in Baidu, though, with that being said, and I'm going to just get rid of that just so that doesn't show up. I'm going to put on another trade here in Baidu because I still think it's worth selling some premium here. I'm going to sell some out of the money calls. I'm probably going to go out to I'm thinking maybe about the 130s or the 125, probably the 130s, and sell like a 130, 140 call spread out here just to kind of equalize my delta here because I'm synthetically long now with Baidu. And so I may actually do that. Now, if you haven't put a position on in Baidu, a nice trade in Baidu here undoubtedly is an iron condor of some kind, or even a strangle if you can support it. You know, the $10 wide iron condor out in January, 59 days, is going to bring in $348. It's going to cost you $652. You got almost a 60% pop, 57%. It's almost delta neutral. It's a little skewed positive, which is okay right now, especially since it's gotten beat up. And you kind of have that. Right? Okay, and then, if you have the capital, by all means, do a strangle. Now, the strangle, this is in my IRA. If I was to do this in my trading account, it would be the joint tenants with rights. Wow, margins are pretty bad in there, too. Yeah, margins suck in there. It's a joint tenants with the rights. Margins suck. So margins stink in here. So you're probably not going to do a strangle. I wouldn't recommend somebody doing, locking up $2,700 in there. You're definitely going to need to do the iron condor. So scratch the strangle. But that is the iron condor, and then look at that one on the curve. And I think that's a nicely manageable trade. And the reason the analysis is off here is because I already am short, so it's actually got a crappy analysis. But if I didn't have a position on in here, this would be in here. So. But to me, this is a very manageable trade because, again, you can roll this call spread down. You can roll this put spread up, depending on how it goes. And you do have a bit of time in this one, being that it's 59 days out. All right, and so there's Baidu. And again, not anything monumental, but overall, a good one. Next, I'm going to talk about is Target. I'm definitely going to be doing something in here today. They have earnings. So tomorrow is going to be a pretty good day because I'm going to be doing Target. I'm going to be doing probably NVIDIA maybe late in the day. I don't know if I'm going to do anything in NVIDIA, but Target goes tomorrow morning. And with Target going tomorrow morning, what I'm likely going to do in here is I'm going to do the Decembers because there's a bigger amount of volatility. And I may actually do a couple of trades here in Target. And Target is another one, if you look at it on the, just throw the chart up here on Target. This is another one that's just gotten the absolute piss beaten. His things has just gotten the absolute crap. This has been like a Target is like a UFC fight when you have like a card fighter fighting like a D card. They have just absolutely just punished the shit out of this thing. Target. I mean, looking back, Target last year was $182. And it sits here at $87. And if you were looking at it on the daily, this is like 6, 7, almost 6-year lows. 6 or 7-year lows here. Got to go back to 2019. 2019. Nuts, right? That it would ever get that bad. But yeah, that's where Target is at this point. So not that good at all for Target. What I'm going to likely do though in Target is I kind of like the 80, 100 strangle in December, complete and utter. And the nice thing about Target is the margins are good in here, in my opinion. Anyway, this is a bit skewed. Delta positive. You're looking for an $8 move. I know I'm right on the bubble here on this side, and I'm inside the 1 standard deviation move. I don't think earnings are really gonna move this thing. Just my opinion. I don't see how they even come out with earnings number that's going to be able to move the needle on this. It may stop the bleeding, but again, it's just my interpretation of what I think is going to happen. I have no idea. And that's why I'm playing it, and it's purely a volatility play that I'm just looking for this volatility to collapse after earnings, and that is it. That is kind of the play, and that's where I'd like to sit for earnings tomorrow morning on Target. And so I'm going to probably have this one, and I'm not going to put this one on until about 3:30 tonight in the afternoon on Target. Obviously, if you don't have the margin to do this, or you want to do it in IRA, just do the Iron Condor. And if you're going to do the Iron Condor, I would suggest that you pull the call side out past the 105. Just give yourself a little bit more breathing room. Skew it a little more delta positive. You're going to bring in a little less premium, but I think you're going to put yourself in a better spot where probability of profit is 63%. And the reason I'm actually okay with skewing this is because looking at the chart, it is kind of a contrarian play. And with it being 30 days out, I'm okay with my put side getting breached in the short term on Target. I'm okay with it. And it's manageable. And if I'm even okay if I get assigned stock on the put side, because I will sell upside calls on it. But I'm not going to discount the fact that Target here, Target is in some deep doo-doo, man. There's no question about it. Target is in some deep doo-doo, from a stock perspective. And they're going through some serious come to Jesus moments because, they can't sit there and say everything's fine at Target because we, did this or did that, when you got the shareholders who are just kind of getting pounced on right now. And sooner or later, someone's going to get called to the carpet. But retailers in general, they're under some strain. So anyway, that is Target. There's a couple others too, but they don't look interesting. Bristol Myers. This has been kind of to me, Bristol Myers is kind of a good. I'm just looking here from a volatility play. This has never really been a good stock volatility wise to play. It just doesn't usually have a lot of liquidity. But the fact that it is where it is here, and this is the daily, Bristol Myers has gotten absolutely punished. But it does appear to be a little bit on the mend. And so I kind of like that one, but I guarantee that these options stink. There's a lot of open interest in here. Yeah, I kind of like it. The fact that it's actually it's about flat today. Kind of like that trade here. I kind of like selling these 45 puts. Yeah. Sell the 45 puts. Right? Good IV rank. It does look like, from a chart perspective, it does look like there's a bit of a floor down here at around $42. It's trading at 46. Yeah, I like it. I'm not particularly crazy about the stock in general, but yeah, Bristol Myers. I kind of like that one today, depending on where that goes. And I would try and see if I could get, I don't think I'm going to be able to, but I'm actually going to throw this one out there because I don't want to forget. But I'm going to see if I can get $2 for that. I don't think I will. I might have to play a little bit of games here, but I'm really not that far off. And if it does kind of open where it says it is, it should, I should be close. So there you go. There's Bristol Myers. I don't have any positions in that at all. I own that stock, full disclosure. I own that stock for a long time. That was literally one of the first stocks that I had bought when I first went to TD Ameritrade back, and I think it was like 2006. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2006 or 2007. I did a covered call. I remember I did a covered call in it, and or no, I don't know. I can't remember. I remember it was, and I had it. I owned it forever, and I would sell calls on it, and I would do okay. And it had a time when it was actually did really well, and then it kind of hit a point where it just literally just never went anywhere. It was kind of like became an Intel, and it didn't do dreck. And then, look, I'm going to say this too. I have been slowly adding to this, which is this consumer staples ETF. And if you look at this ETF, this is one of the sectors that has actually gotten quite, of late. Now, if you go back and look, it's actually, but of late, it kind of bottomed out here at around $75. And I actually still have this on here. And I like this. I like this ETF. Not for a banger, but I like it for the short term, especially over the next 6 months or so, to get up around 80. I don't really expect it to go much higher than that. I think it's going to get in. I think it's going to have a lot of trouble when it gets up near 80 to really get any more momentum, just because for the list of stocks that are in here as far as like staples, because there's like the Costco's, I think Target's in here. What else is in here? What they consider staples, like Coca-Cola. I think McDonald's is in here. You can get a list. I forgot exactly, but there's a lot of those types of companies are in here. Walmart. It's kind of, there's kind of a bit of a retail skew, but they're more retail staple type companies, and they've been depressed through this whole tech frenzy we've been in over the last 6 months, 6 to 8 months. And so I'm kind of using this as little stability. And I've been adding to this one in all my accounts with the idea that this is going to. Now, I haven't been doing any options in this because the options in this are generally, they suck. They usually do. And I haven't looked at doing any option trades in here. There's a ton of liquidity in here, and the reason is that what often happens with an ETF like this is you have bigger hedge funds and, to a lesser extent, mutual funds or even investment type groups will use these as a hedge against their dedicated position. So if they have a large dedicated position, let's say, Costco, I think is a big proponent of this ETF. So if they're net long, they'll actually buy puts in the XLP. Or if they're inherently long, a good portion of the retailers, they'll buy puts or do like collars or something like that in these ETFs as a hedge. And that's how they hedge themselves. And they do that with all the ETFs. And that's why, for the most part, a lot of the ETFs in general are just shitty to trade when it comes to options, because you kind of have that level of investor in here. And that's why you see this open interest in these is usually relatively high, is because of that. Which to me makes them a little difficult to trade. And if you look in here, you got some big spreads in here, and they'll obviously tighten up once the market's open. But from an option perspective, this thing is kind of it's a crap. I would prefer, if you're going to do anything in here, just buy the darn thing. All right, and that's it. That's all I got. I'm out of gas. It's almost 8:30. I think there's going to be some like news, economic news today, right? Export prices month over month. I think industrial production, or does that come out at or factory orders? That's like another pretty big one that comes out at 10 o'clock. Yeah, that was the one I had looked at, was factory orders, and that will give us an indication of how manufacturing is doing. So so that's it. Markets continue to kind of chop and slop here. We're down 30 handles on the ES, 135 on the NASDAQ, 1180 on the Russell. Gold continues to be weak, as well as silver. But the one kind of shining star, and I got run over a little bit yesterday, is soybeans. And I haven't looked at the grain markets in probably over a year because they have just absolutely sucked. Both ways. I mean, it doesn't matter, up or down. They pretty much have not gone anywhere. And yesterday, soybeans got a huge run in beans yesterday. I want to say it was up 32 handles, and we're up another 8 today. And beans here seem to have a really, really strong move here. And it's probably a lot to do with the whole China thing. And, they're going to be buying beans. But the thing about you have to be careful about with the grains is that when they're trading the November contract, the active November contract, likely when they're selling beans, they're selling out of what's been siloed, right? They're not selling what's coming out of the ground, right? Because it doesn't go out of the ground and go right where it's going to go. Just got to remember that with all the farming, right? It gets harvested, processed, blah, 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 and then it gets siloed. And then they sell it. And so there's been a lot of siloing going on because the prices have sucked. And now that prices are going up, they're going to be starting to sell those beans that have been siloed for a while. And so, although you're looking at the January contract, when you're doing bean, I don't really want to do it here. I like to do it on Thinkorswim. You need to start looking at the forward month contracts. when it comes to, it's not just the soybeans, it's the corn and the wheat too, is you need to be looking at the March and the June and even the November contract in 2026 to get an idea of, where they're going to go. So anyway, little inside tip there on trading the grains, that you just can't watch the current month. All right. So anywho, we're not making this a beans show. Used to be my bread and butter, not anymore, because they kind of made it a dead asset. I don't know. Maybe it comes back and gets some action again. But we are continue to be under pressure. Hopefully this news is good and it kind of stops the bleeding.